teachers work together a lot. And this can be very divisive, sorry. This can be very divisive. And so whenever this issue comes up, we try to say, let's look at it. If we can look at it in a manner that we can say, if you need the additional money, you've got to work, you've got to do something additional. You have to work more to get it. You're going to put in 2 hours additional to get this work done. You're going to mentor some new teachers. You're going to do it so it's measurable. We don't just give you the money just for the sake of giving you the money. Because every teacher will tell you, the good teachers, and there are some, some teachers that are not so good. But a teacher that is, that feels it to the core, I'm a good teacher. You give her $10,000 more, does that mean she's going to work a lot more? She's working her capacity already. And whether you give her the money or not, if she's working with those kids, she's going to continue to work with them to make sure that they succeed. That's our experience. That's what we found out. Those are teachers. Now, they're teachers who are slackers. That's true. We all know. In every profession, you have that. But if you find a slacker, we say to the administrators, then you have a process to get rid of the slacker and utilize it. Once you don't do it wrong, you have no problems with the association. I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, the one thing I would say to follow up is I thought it was interesting that when you spoke of these 4 teachers, you said, I guarantee some of those teachers are better than others. My question would be, if that is possible, if you can sense it, if there is a way to quantify it, don't those teachers, I mean, I was a teacher for 7 years. I met teachers who were far better teachers than I was, and I met teachers who were far worse teachers than I was. In my estimation, the teachers who were better than I was, some younger, some older, some more experienced, some less experienced, I taught social studies and reading, some in my field, some not, should get something more for that which I could recognize as one of their peers, and that which their supervisors could recognize as a supervisor. Like, that person has that something. And if you could notice it, and I could notice it, why shouldn't that person who is esteemed to be of greater merit get something more? Because I was thinking of the math club example. If I'm a math teacher and I'm told that if I form a math club, it will raise test scores, it'll increase student interest in the subject, and I'll get paid more for doing it. What if I'm in a school and I form the math club and no one joins? Then I can't get paid anymore. It's not going to affect test scores. Or if my excellent math students are the only ones to join, then I haven't had any impact on the students I wanted to. So I think, I understand the argument, more pay for more work, but I also think that more work doesn't necessarily equal more merit or more results.
Well, I don't disagree with that, because you could, hard to staff schools. If we pay everyone an extra $5,000, does that mean that the test scores are going to improve? No, there's no guarantee that they're going to. We're giving folks incentive in hope that's going to improve. Now, some teachers will continue to work hard. And another thing, it's not just teachers, because you do have education professionals there. You do have paraprofessionals or instructional assistants that actually sometimes they click with the students more than the teachers do. So that's also important. That's another variable that it's not in Prince George's, because at least not at this point. But that's also another variable that will have some kids that say they'll click more with the support staff than they do with the teachers. And some kids will confide in bus drivers more than they'll confide in anyone else. So it's so difficult to quantify.
I completely agree with your concern about measurement. You're a long shot from having good measurements. And in the name of fairness and equity, it's hard to move forward without those good measurements. But that still begs the question for me, why would the union find differentiated pay on the basis of degrees and coursework, which may not be linked at all with what teachers do, or their effectiveness? Why is that fair? What makes that fair? Why would we support that?
Explain.
Well, that all the research shows that additional coursework and then additional degrees really bear very little, if any, relationship to teachers' effectiveness in the classroom. So it seems like it's measurable for sure. It's something we can measure.
Right.
But it's not very directly linked to a teacher's effectiveness or their ability in the classroom. So why would we, I guess I question that on grounds of the evidence that we have that shows a very tenuous, if any, link between coursework and degree level and teacher performance. But it is measurable. It just strikes me, just because we can measure it doesn't mean it's a good ground for pay.
It's measurable, and it depends, because some school districts now, that's why some school districts don't pay for a doctorate degree.
Well, how about a master's degree? That's what we have all the research on.
They do pay for master's. Some people don't pay for doctorate degree. And we did have that discussion that came up at one of our school board meetings, where the school board member said that because the challenge was this teacher, I can't remember what subject, had a master's degree in an area that the teacher wasn't teaching. And that individual said it wasn't, he doesn't believe that was fair under the circumstances. Now, the other board members thought it was okay, so that's why they didn't push it. But I do understand it, and we've heard that before. It's, we assume that people with higher degrees will do a better job. That's not always the case. So I can seriously say that that's not always the case. And maybe Pat may want to chime in on that, on school quality and degrees. I don't know if you want to, or I don't want to put you on the spot.
Hi, hello. I think that's one of the things that the state certification department is looking at as they all struggle with closing the achievement gaps in student achievement. Because you're right, once you leave once you leave the bachelor's level, your master's may be in a different area, but you're all very familiar with highly effective teachers. So if I, as an undergrad, have a degree in English, and I'm teaching English, and I've met all the other established criteria, I can be highly qualified. But I need to continuously renew that, because you start at what's called the Standard Professional Certificate 1, then you move to 2, then you move to your APC. So if you aren't renewing that, and now you're picking up a chemistry degree, it is possible that even though you're still degreed and certified, you may not retain your status as highly qualified teacher. And one of the things that we do in school quality, because school quality is a part of the collective bargaining department, of which Herman is a part of, is that we're constantly working with our members, working with locals, working with presidents, working organizationally to help everyone understand that what this is really all about is something that I heard you say here today. It's really about a highly effective teacher and highly qualified, well-delivered, job-embedded professional development. That without highly effective teachers and without quality professional development, money is good. And I agree, money matters. And I'm sure you're also in all that 500 data collection, you probably came across the surveys from 7 states where they looked at what teachers were saying about pay for performance and looking at working conditions. As a matter of fact, the governor's office here in Maryland is going to roll out its survey. What is the date? I think it's the middle of March, I'm not sure, but this survey is going to every teacher in the state of Maryland, well over 80-some thousand teachers. Every teacher in the state of Maryland will get a survey, and they're going to be looking at the working conditions, not those things that sometimes get looked at, attitudes, personalities. They're going to focus on the working conditions, because the research is clear that the working conditions do have a direct impact on the quality of the instruction and then in turn the student achievement. So some states have moved forward in terms of revising their school days, lengthening them, shortening them, going year-round schools, having professional development after the school year, after the school day. But in those 7 states, another piece that comes across clear is that there really are teachers who want to work in hard-to-staff schools. I worked in a hard-to-staff school. I retired from Baltimore County in 1996. I taught school for 26 years, and I worked in an urban high school in Baltimore County where nobody wanted to go. And trust me, the only experienced teachers in that building were those of us who wanted to be there. Everyone else was there, which is one of the things that happens in education over and over again, because they were new teachers, and by default they landed there. So new teachers in some of our most challenging schools.